Welcome back.
Yeah, Mika, we've been talking about our concerns about what the president said in the past and how that's shaping what he's doing right now. Priorities USA actually put out an ad that President Trump and his team actually they're trying to get yanked off the air because they say that it's inaccurate. Let's take a look at the clip and see if it's inaccurate.
The coronavirus.
This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear.
When you have 15 people, and within a couple of days it's going to be down to close to zero, we really think we've done a great job in keeping it down to a minimum.
I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Priorities USA Action is responsible for the content of this ad.
Okay, I'm looking at that ad, and I'm looking at these quotes that I got, I think, from a New York Times article and a Washington Post and Wall Street Journal articles about what the president said, and it sounds like all that ad's doing is actually quoting it. Maybe I missed something. Could you guys play that again? I want to see.
Truth.
I might have missed
The coronavirus.
This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear.
When you have 15 people, and within a couple of days it's going to be down to close to zero, we really think we've done a great job in keeping it down to a minimum.
I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Priorities USA Action is responsible for the content of this ad.
Okay, hold on. I'm matching up. It's the lawyer in me, I guess, but I'm matching up the quotes that I pulled this morning and the quotes I'm seeing on the ad.
They line up with this timeline that they've put out there.
Well, they do line up. I guess I miss it. I just won't. Let's play it one more time.
If anything, they're missing a few.
I want to make sure that I'm not missing something.
The coronavirus.
This is their new hoax.
We have it totally under control. It's one person coming in from China.
One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear.
When you have 15 people, and within a couple of days it's going to be down to close to zero, we really think we've done a great job in keeping it down to a minimum.
I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Priorities USA Action is responsible for the content of this ad.
I actually, the one thing I saw that was inaccurate is that they actually undersold in that ad how many people are dying. It's because they did it a couple days ago, and a lot more people have died in the past couple of days. The numbers are going up exponentially. But, Mika, I'd gone through these numbers. January 20th, the president said we have it under control. It's one person coming in from China, and we have it under control. It's going to be fine.
He said it would be a miracle.
On January the 24th, he said it was going to work out well. I'm really confused. On January 28th, he retweeted out that Johnson & Johnson had created a coronavirus vaccine. On January the 30th, in a rally in Michigan, he said, we have it very well under control. We have a very little problem. It's only 5 people, and those people are recuperating successfully. I didn't even see that one in the ad. February 10th, he said it looks like by April it's going to miraculously go away. We had 1,000. We crossed the threshold of 1,000 Americans dying yesterday. February 23rd, he said again, it's very much under control. We had 12 people at one point, and now they've gotten much better. Many of them are fully recovered. And February 26th, he said we're going down, not up. We're going very substantially down in coronavirus numbers, not up. On February 27th, he predicted it's going to disappear like a miracle. It will disappear. On February the 29th, he said the vaccine was going to be available very quickly, very rapidly. On March the 4th, he said it's very mild. He said that of the pandemic. On March the 7th, he said, I'm not concerned at all. 1,000 people died. More people died in New York City yesterday than died the last 5 years in Afghanistan. On March the 10th, he promised it will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away. And he said 15 people, remember, and it's going down to none. And 1,000 Americans now are dead, and many more are going to die in the future. I'm not sure what they put in there that was inaccurate, other than maybe they didn't put enough information in that ad to just get it factually complete. Let me bring in right now the chairman of Priorities USA, Guy Cecil. I'm a lawyer. I went to University of Florida Law School, a place you're familiar with. I'm just curious. I'm looking through the notes that I've gathered from the president's public statements and the notes that you're running on that ad, and I've got to tell you, there's not a legal case here. I don't even know what they're complaining about. You use the president's own word. What's their legal argument?
Well, they have no real argument. I mean, I think the reason why the president wants the ad off the air is because it does something that he is not familiar with. It tells the truth. And, you know, we waited weeks to engage in this conversation because, like every single American, we want this administration to succeed. But what we realize is that there is no success when you do not tell the truth and you do not confront the truth. And it's not a partisan argument. When you're talking about nurses and doctors, no one's checking their party affiliation. When my friend who is in the hospital now dealing with the consequences of coronavirus, is dealing with medical professionals, he's not asking who they vote for. But we need a president that levels with the American people. And let me just say, there are ways that people react to these things, right? You react because you have empathy. You react because there are facts in front of you. This president does not react to those things. This president reacts to political pressure and self-interest. And so when you are going to a White House podium every day and wrapping yourself in self-congratulation and propaganda, the only way we will get this administration to act is if we Americans put political pressure on this administration to do the right thing, to tell us the truth, and to get supplies where they need to go today. And that's the reason we decided to run it. That's the reason it's still on the air in all the markets that we originally started running this ad, is because all we're doing is telling the truth. And the Trump campaign does not have a leg to stand on in challenging the ad.
All right, Guy Cecil, thank you
Guy.
so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate it. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.